Hey Word Nerds! Today I'm going to talk about mystery. A while back, I found a Shannon Hale blog post about the difference between confusion and mystery. I think I mentioned it back on my Writerly Blogs video a few weeks ago. I really liked it, and I think it is a really important subject to talk about as writers because it is really hard. You, of course, want to create mystery in your stories, but sometimes that might come across as confusion instead. You don't want your readers to be confused because that could keep them from finishing the book. You do want to create mystery to keep them interested. So how do you find that balance between the two things? I think there's a few important things that you can do as a writer to make sure that you create mystery instead of confusion in your story. One important thing that Shannon Hale talks about in her blog post is giving your readers a possible explanation for the mystery. It's sort of a red herring type thing. Have your characters guess at what the answer is, or give your readers false clues that seem like the right thing. This is really important because you want the readers to be guessing along. It's really frustrating when there's a mystery and you can't even guess what's going to happen. That's when you start to move into confusion instead of mystery. Another thing that I think is important to this is making sure you don't have too many mysteries going on all at once. That's where it can get really frustrating when you don't even know what the story is about. When the entire book is a mystery, it can get a little bit frustrating. I am a big fan of the TV show Lost. I know that people have differing opinions about this show, even among the Word Nerds we have different opinions, but I love it and I think they do a great job with creating a lot of mystery. That whole show is about mystery. I recently rewatched all 6 seasons of Lost, and I noticed something that I hadn't noticed before. When you first watch the entire show, you kind of feel like they never answer any questions, I never know what's going on. But when I watched the show with the perspective of someone who does know the ending and has seen it all, I started to notice something. The important thing that they did in the show was that they would answer a question right before they asked a new one. So you have this constant fluctuating mystery. You get one little answer, but then suddenly that prompts another question for the viewers. And I think that is how they were able to keep people watching. Even with all the mystery that was going on, they would answer the little mysteries for us. Speaking of Lost, if you have not seen the TED Talk with J.J. Abrams called The Mystery Box, you should definitely watch it. I think it's really important for writers in understanding mystery and how important it is to storytelling and to imagination. J.J. Abrams talks in his speech about how mystery is the catalyst for imagination. It's what gets us to tell stories and to read stories, is this constant question of what if or what then? I think one of the most important things that J.J. Abrams says is that maybe there are times when mystery is more important than knowledge. I think sometimes as readers and as writers, we want all the knowledge and we want to give our readers all the knowledge. We want to give them all this background information and all the answers to all the questions so they can understand everything perfectly. Honestly, that can be kind of boring sometimes. It can also be a little bit unrealistic and cheesy. I have read a book series before, I won't mention the name, but it was a great series and it kept building mystery and there were all these things you were wondering about the characters in the world's past and all these answers you wanted. And in the last book, they had an all-knowing character sit down with the main character and explain it all. It was so boring and it was disappointing because what I loved so much about it was this mystery, and it was done in such an awful way and in such an unrealistic way. To go back to the example of Lost, they didn't answer every single little question that the viewers had. And while that may seem a little bit frustrating when you first finish the series, now when I reflect on it and when I go back and watch it, I love that about it because I've noticed that they answer the important questions and they have a wonderful story arc and a wonderful arc for their characters, and that's what matters. Also, it's realistic. Sometimes in life, we don't get all the answers to things. And to have a story where someone sits down and explains everything to the character isn't that realistic. I honestly don't want things perfectly laid out for me. I want to be able to figure things out. I want to have the chance to make the connections myself, and I love stories that do that for me. That's what makes it so much fun to reread Harry Potter, is when you see all the little things and how they connected. Basically, what I think is most important in writing mystery is being realistic about it. Giving too little information or too much information are both unrealistic things to do. If your characters aren't asking any questions, if they're not coming up with their own assumptions to explain things, that's not realistic. That's what we do as people, and it's what your characters should do. And so, of course, it's also important not to give too much information, not to lay it all out in a way that is too simple, because I think that can be insulting to readers to say you can't figure this out on your own, it's too complicated, so I'm just going to explain it all for you. So what do you think is important for writing mystery? What books or TV shows or movies have you read or seen that do a good job of it, and what do you think they did that made the mystery so compelling? And I will end with that. I will see you guys on Sunday. We will be discussing our book club book for the month, which is Throne of Glass by Sarah Moss. I love that book. It does a great job with mystery as well. And so hopefully you will have read it, and if not, go ahead and read it because it's a really quick read, and we'll see you guys on Sunday.